Baldwin McGill. I was the liaison person for the commemoration and celebration of the West Indies club and team of 1973 being recognized for reaching the national finals and representing Ontario in winning the Ontario Cup in 1973.
The soccer came after.
Yeah.
Everything was in one language, one football, one. Hook up this somewhere, hook up this somewhere. Turn the man.
That's what
Look at that. You're championing home.
All right.
Come on.
You just follow that and come down.
What are you doing? Yes, sir. Right, yes, sir, man. The poor people here. Come on, Brownstown. The poor people there. No, sir.
You don't know, look, Vasi play with me.
Yeah, Vasi, yeah.
I play with Vasi in the middle there, you know, in Earl's Orchard.
And the great guru.
And Guru. Oh. Me now calling him.
Man, please, the time fly, you know.
Listen, man.
Time does fly, man.
So me, when you look up and saw the picture, I look for you, I mean, still weird.
Me, I'm just living well, enjoying life. Same bullshit, man. Ain't nothing.
Just cut off my face. See, me no want this. You know what? You cut off my face, that Trinidad thing.
Which alias they give you? Which nickname they give you?
Hello.
A couple of the names. Oh, yeah,
It's cool, God, for God's sake. It's
What do you mean?
No one knows anybody. It's been so long, no one recognizes anybody.
My God.
Why not?
Go on. Everything good?
It's a pleasure to be here specifically for me. I just want to thank you guys for your contributions to the soccer community. And on behalf of Canada Soccer, we're really happy and proud to see that we're able to honor you guys here today. Across the landscape of the country, we see many communities who have been part of building the game. And this is a golden time for us right now in the game, seeing how well we're doing, but we know that it's the contributions that many of you have put forth in the game that has caused us to be where we are today. So this is the first of many more we hope to see, where we go across the country and honor those who've put commitment into the game and contributed at the level you guys have done. So we just wanted to honor you guys and thank you by recognizing your 50-year history, going back to, that making it to the championship back in 1973. And further to that, we want to later on honor you with being one of the organizations of distinction for that 50-year history. So it's not often we want to stop and take time and pause and commend ourselves and give ourselves a round of applause, but I think longevity speaks and legacy speaks towards really the positive effect you guys have had. So I would just ask you guys to all put your hands together just for a quick second and say, well done.
I remember coming here on November 25th, 1972, and from the national team home. And as you guys would know, we didn't have anything black going on in terms of music or anything like that. And for some reason, driving that day, I heard there was a team, a black team, that won the Ontario Cup. Wasn't sure what the Ontario Cup meant because I'm only here a year, but I was so proud. Not even knowing any one of you guys. Okay, not even taking a taste of ball in the community yet. For those who don't know, who's listening, West Indies United was like the Barcelona of football in those days. So guys, give yourself a round of applause. West Indies United. Now we'll call the existing, current, present president of West Indies United, Earl Bugs Nelson.
I've lived the dream. Came to Canada as a teenager and went to live with the guy who was currently the coach. Nev Glanville was the coach of West Indies, and at the time, and I'm still in shock that I was able to play with some of you guys, because when you talk about talent, unbelievable. If you guys remember, we used to be the club team that the Canadian national team used to have practice games against. We played against about 3 or 4 times because they recognized the quality we had as a team. And I thank God for meeting all of you guys and allowing me to be still in touch with the fire that you guys lit, which is still burning as West Indies United today. Thank you.
West Indies United. The academy started on the street. That's where our soccer academy is, the streets. That's where we started to play football. From the streets. Tick-tock, bang. We play a thing, West Indies play a thing called keep the ball. Don't lose the ball. So right now at this time, when we look at TV and watch Barcelona, we played that game before Barcelona.
In the 70s?
Yeah, we played that game before Barcelona because that's how we play. I remember we played a team called Thunder Bay, and these guys couldn't touch the football. And they're saying like, what, you guys live the ball every day or what? You play football every time? Hey, just a bunch of street football. Tick-tock, boom. When the clock burns at 4 o'clock, you time to get out of work and go play football. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You used to do that.
Why, how? The love we had in community, we brought it here, and it went into the football. It went into the football, so it had one message, one action, you know, so everything started from how we grew up in community back home.
Yeah.
West Indies is the mother for football in this Ontario.
Agreed.
We started, we take it a long way, and people who look at us play see some of the best players up until today in our time. West Indies is a team that will never leave our mind. You cannot, it will make sense you try. You wake up every day and West Indies is there. You just can't get rid of it. That was West Indies. It's a loving team, care about each other. Yes, we argue, like everybody else, but once the whistle blow, it's one team moving like this.
Junior Parker, I mean, all we did was play football. Put it that way, it's very simple. We play football morning, noon, and night.
Okay, Derek Samuels. Started as a player in 1970 when I came from Jamaica. It was a bit of a shock culturally, and the weather is one thing, another thing. But then once I got, because of Earl Nelson told me about the club, and we were playing at Riverdale Park training then, and I started training and played that season. That was my first season. I think our success that year was first Contrast Cup, which was for the Caribbean community, and we won that. And you know, it was a lifeline for us, really, something to gather around more than we played football, but we had a social life. We look back at the Kenya, when we came here, it was more based on a British system, the coaches, the players, so, and that they had their style, which I think up to 86 when Canada first qualified, that was the style of football that was being played. But it has evolved. Now you have different cultures, and that's what I think the team has progressed to where it is today, and the future is great because get a different blend of players. It's almost like, say, looking at these top clubs today. They're English clubs or they're Spanish clubs, but the players are from all over. So you need that blend. Not only was it our first Caribbean black club to achieve that, we did it without any major financial assistance. It was guys paying their dues, going around at halftime collecting. We had one gentleman who's passed away now, but every game he went around and collected from the folks who were there at the games, $1 here or $1 there or whatever, so we could pay the referee. So without that type of involvement, we maybe wouldn't have made it to the finals. So yeah, it was a big impact for us. The community came together behind the team, and I think we're a testimony to that today, that it still lives on, and you see the players coming out together. There's to bring the whole group together under one room. It's nice. It's really, I think the CSA reaching out to recognize our contribution to the game and to the general community. I think it's great. We achieved something. There are other teams, the other black teams that had, eventually got to a certain height, and we were just fortunate to be the ones that were the forerunners for everybody. We paved the way. In other words, we were the pioneers, and you can't change it. The history is there, the records are there. It will live on forever.
My name is Carlton Martin, Carlton, Martin, last name. So Derek says to me on the way home, he's bringing me home now, why did the coach take you off? You were doing well. I said, I don't know. And he says, okay, you're not going back there. I'm going to take you to this team. So he took me to these guys. And I'm still a 19-year-old kid, doesn't know what's going on, trust me. I have no confidence, nothing. But they let me play a little bit. I wasn't a bad player, so they signed me. So the following season, I tried out for defense, and that was my natural position. And within 12 months, I was drafted to a semi-pro team. And the next thing you know, I was playing in Europe First Division, playing against Athletic Madrid, huge teams, huge. Bayern, not Bayern, Hamburg of Germany, Athletic Madrid, Benfica, Porto. That was standard on a weekly basis. So I went from zero to a bit of a hero, even though I didn't feel like a hero kind of thing, but just using that saying, in a matter of 3 years after being with these guys. Well, I would have to say the championship was won by a group of immigrants, basically. They'd all been, dislocated from wherever they were born or grew up, or their communities. And somehow we all came together. And it was magic, I'll be honest with you. We had the whole town going crazy. The whole town. People were coming to this. There's a stadium on Earls Court. We call it Sinclair, because it's Sinclair and Earls Court. So there was one side which was all black. And then the other side was all mixed. But these guys came to see us play as much as our own fans. So half of the stadium were people that didn't know us. All they knew is we put on a show every game, and they just come to watch us play. The bottom line was, it was a highly competitive team, extremely technical for the level, like way beyond, overachieving by far the level of, like we're playing in First Division T&D. That's what we were playing, okay? And then all of a sudden, the national team would come to Toronto. They want to play this professional team, that professional team, and West Indies United. Sometimes we were the first team they want to play, and etc. So it was just a matter of a group of very talented guys understanding that we had something kind of magic, and we just played our hearts out. It was just a tough, like almost like, you know, the 7 games in hockey, every game's like a final. That's what it was like for us for the whole season. Every game we played, it was like a final. And again, it was a little bit, I think, which I didn't feel this as much as maybe these guys did, because I grew up in England in a completely white community. But these guys had something to prove, I think, at that time. I mean, you know, it was 70s, the mid-70s, there was a lot going on politically, especially with the racial tension. I mean, we had lots of problems like that, guys spitting on us, calling us names, but we would fight back tooth and nail. So we were never a pushover. We would come to your stadium and they couldn't bully us because we would bully you right back. And that's what, you know, people realized that we can't mess with these guys. We're either going to have to beat them on soccer because we can't bully them. And you see some of these guys now, I look at them now and we're all old men. And I'm remembering them. It's interesting. Bringing me to tears. Good bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Alex Francis. I was vice president to Junior Parker in 72 on for a number of years. Yeah. The team at the time comprised of, as the name would suggest, players from across the Caribbean, hence West Indies United. And the team as such truly reflected who we were. Bearing in mind a number of Caribbean islands were becoming independent around then. And although we were independent as individual islands, we were not connected as a region. So the team in Toronto really brought a lot of us together as regional folks, and it's actually ironic that for many of us became Caribbean in Canada. So we're truly West Indies in Canada and on the field of play. So the team, I think, was formidable in many ways. The standard of play in Canada at the time was reasonably okay, to use the term. And as you've heard before, West Indies United really elevated that play. The Caribbean footballers that came played outside a different brand of football to what was being played here. At the time, there was no, in quote, Canadian soccer players as such. If you played soccer, you were a European or from the Caribbean, and very few players from Africa or elsewhere. So it was Caribbean versus Europeans. And slowly, Canadians caught onto the game and started playing. So these guys are really trailblazers. It was phenomenal to see them play. And you were in the stands, but you were very much a part of the team because they were representing you. And apart from the technical play, it was just a joy to behold. It was just a good, the entire community was on the field. They represented us, and we in turn supported them in ways that at the time was unprecedented. And no one recognized what was happening then. It was just for the love of the game. And I want to emphasize love, because those players had I don't think many had any ambition of going higher than that level, because there's no league beyond that. There's no professional league as such. So they had to be playing for the love of it. But I think in time, whatever DNA they passed on, the kids have it, and are exceptional players, as you can see. It was inevitable, I think, that they would be on the national squad, as so many of them are. So that's where we are today, but the foundation was laid 50 years ago. We can't escape that. We can't escape what happened 50 years ago as a landmark performance. Winning the national championship back then, that was a big deal. it served as inspiration to those who were around then and continue to inform the standard of play for many of the younger guys today and inspire them to play the game, even when many believe that they wouldn't have gotten a chance to play nationally. So there's no denying West Indies United, his history, a part of the rich history of Canadian soccer, and specifically those young black players who saw their parents play. They realized there's a place on the field for them, and thankfully the broader Canadian society has accepted them for the talented players they are. I think they're deserving of being where they are, and without the Canadian being open enough to give them a chance to represent, they wouldn't have been there. So I think Canadians, we owe a lot to West Indies United for blazing the trail, let's say.
Well, my name is Louis Robinson, and I was a member of the 1973 West Indies United Soccer Club. I played right wing as well as center forward. What is fascinating about the team was not only the performance of the team, the charisma into the game that allows you to some individuality, and I think those were the elements that were part of the 1973 West Indies United team. We were not necessarily as good as Brazilians, but our pattern of play was similar to what the Brazilian football would be like. This team was made up of young folks who, I guess teenagers or early 20s, who had migrated to Toronto and was trying to establish themselves here. So the team essentially became a little bit of a foundation for, or assimilation, if you would, into a culture that at that point in time wasn't necessarily embracing foreigners, if you would. So the importance of the team became significant, and also had a significant impact on the Black and West Indian community, simply because they were facing some of the same challenges in terms of getting integrated into the Canadian society. A lot of the offsprings of some of the early immigrants here from the Caribbean, the football was still very much part of their culture. I'd call them second and third generation Canadians, involvement in the game, and as a result, because of the passion that they bring to the game, they have continued to excel and have now become very much a part of the Canadian football, quote, soccer program. I remember looking at the teams now and the success that we have, and I compare it to the last Canadian team in 1986 that went to Mexico, and it's like night and day. You know, when you look at the team today and the representation of the team, but not only the representation, the quality of the football that the team plays, it's just amazing. And not only are these the players now being successful in Canada, they've been able to establish themselves as bona fide pro players in significant leagues in Europe, and I think that is just fantastic for the Canadian soccer program. Very important that continues. I think with regards to the football team, I think it's important in the context of understanding the achievements that the team had within a time where I would say inclusivity wasn't necessarily a hallmark of our culture here in Toronto. And so for perspective, I think it's important that even the players of today can understand that, hey, there is a legacy with regards to football in Toronto, where a black team had significant success and went on to represent Ontario in the Canada Cup, and actually played pretty well, getting to the finals there as well, after having to play 3 games in 3 days. And I think that's the kind of achievement that I think is noteworthy and ought to be captured in the annals of the game here in Canada.
I'm kind of honored to be part of the event, and it's well deserved. They started everything. We had to gravitate to each other and make friends with everyone not just our community, in order to survive. To see it evolve into you know, winning something, achieving something as a group, it's actually a signal to you that you belong. And hopefully these younger guys would be able to appreciate that there were people before them and they have to lay that foundation for those maybe 20 years from now.